Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to the second Arbortext Monster Garage session. With Arbortext in your tool chest, you can do anything. This morning, we're very lucky to have Mark Giffin. Mark has a lot of experience in XML, dynamic publishing, DITA, and tools development of all kinds. Today, he's going to show us the basics about how Arbortext and the DITA OT work and how they can work together. My name is Liz, and I'll be your moderator today. Now I'll turn the presentation over to today's shop coach, Mark Giffin. Mark, it's all yours.
Thank you. Get the screen working here. Good. Welcome to the webinar. This is Using Arbortext with the DITA Open ToolKit. And my name is Mark Giffin. A little bit about me. I've been around technical publications for a long time, and I design and implement XML-based documentation systems. I do XSLT programming, DITA Open ToolKit programming, and a lot of things like that. Now, this is going to be a brief simple overview of how somebody might use the DITA Open ToolKit with Arbortext Editor. And but first I wanted to tell a little bit about Arbortext Editor. Some people don't know about it or don't know much about it. Arbortext Editor has been around a long time. It's been around since BX, before XML. Since at least 1991, starting with SGML. That was XML came from SGML. Arbortext is a very mature and very widely used and well-established editor and platform. It's a little confusing with its names. It's had a lot of names over the years. It used to be called Adept or Adept Editor. Then it was called Epic Editor. And the official name now is Arbortext Editor. The parent company is PTC, which is a big company and has a lot of other products besides Arbortext. An interesting note for me was that IBM is an Arbortext shop, and they used Arbortext in developing the DITA standard. If you want to know more about Arbortext Editor, there's a presentation on the Single Sourcing Solutions website. It was given by Lynn Hales a few weeks ago, and you could get more information about it. Now, I wanted to go over just the general layout of how the DITA Open ToolKit works with XML editors. Just in general, you have your DITA source files, and however you're controlling them with a content management system, or you have, files on the file system or various other ways, you have your DITA source files, and you need to edit them in some way, and there are a number of DITA-aware XML editors that are on the market. You could use Oxygen is an XML editor. XMetal is another one. There's, Arbortext is one that's DITA aware. There are a lot of choices. And where the DITA Open ToolKit comes in is in when you need some way to output your DITA files. And you don't just hand over XML files to end users, so you need to make them into HTML files or PDF files or any of various other formats. And the DITA Open ToolKit was put together for this purpose. It is a free tool. You can download it for nothing. It's an open source project, very actively worked on. And it covers a lot of ground. And it is not the DITA standard. It is an implementation of DITA output, methods. And it conforms with the standard, or, you know, it's supposed to, and it pretty much does. But I just wanted to make sure you know what it is. It's not the DITA standard itself. It's an implementation that performs output. And I wanted to compare this with sort of a usual Arbortext environment, the way it's done often. You'll have DITA source files. Now, Arbortext, it has an end-to-end kind of a implementation where there's a content management piece that you can get with Arbortext on the on the source file side. You have the editor, and then there's a product called Arbortext Publishing Engine, which handles the output of the DITA files. This is usually run on a server. Publishing Engine is, and but it can also be run on a desktop, and it has a lot of different outputs you can do, and it's highly configurable. So this is common in in an Arbortext installation to have an end-to-end setup like this. But you can also use discrete technologies with Arbortext Editor, and that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit here. You could use Arbortext Editor with a DITA Open ToolKit. I had been curious about this myself, and I worked it out with Single Sourcing Solutions to come up with this webinar. So I was trying to answer my own questions. So if you already have Arbortext Publishing Engine, or if it's available, why would you even want to use the DITA Open ToolKit with Arbortext Editor? There could be various reasons. I mean, DITA Open ToolKit is a free download. If you want to configure it and set it up, you wouldn't have to buy any further software. Some other reasons are output formats. Not all output formats are available with Publishing Engine. It's very extensive, but not all of them are available. EPUB is one format that is it's available with the DITA Open ToolKit as a separate download. This is a format used for ebooks. Also, if you need Java help output or Eclipse help, those are part of the standard DITA Open ToolKit output set. Possibly also you may have developed some DITA Open ToolKit a configuration with your own designs for PDF or HTML output, and you could just use it as is with Arbortext if you wanted to. There are probably other reasons too. So how do you do it? Well, one way is ye old command line, which is highly flexible and usable and never goes out of style. But this is not, you could use this with any editor or with no editor at all. The toolkit, the standard toolkit interface is the command line. And there's lots of things you can do with it. I won't go into it here, but this is one way you could use it with Arbortext Editor. There is another way, and Single Sourcing Solutions has developed an Arbortext Editor plugin for the DITA Open ToolKit. This is, and I wanted to just give a quick demo of how this works. This is integrated into Arbortext Editor. This is Arbortext Editor. What I have open in it is a map, a DITA map that comes with the DITA Open ToolKit. depending on what version you download. If you download a full version, you get this sort of sample map. And I'm going to double click on one of these topics to open the topic. This is it. This is the topic. Now, the plugin, you need to enable it. First, this Arbortext Editor has no output set up for it. Excuse me. Well, I did set it up. There's a, excuse me, under the Tools menu, this option here, you need to enable it. And then under the File menu, you'd click Compose, and we're going to do a PDF file from this. It gives you, this tells you where it's going to be located, the output, and there are other options you can use, but I'm just going to show you how this would run in a very basic form here. I'm going to click OK to start the output. It'll open, this is standard DITA Open ToolKit command line output or standard output, and it's running the PDF. And I'm opening the PDF. It's very, very basic. There's no configuration. There's no styling changes to the standard DITA Open ToolKit output. But this is the way it works. And that is it. That is my basic overview of this. Let me get to the right slide. Now, this has been a very brief overview of how this might be done. There's a lot more I could go into. I'm going to do a follow-on session in March. See the Single Sourcing Solutions website. I'm going to take some questions here, but if you have any requests for the follow-on webinar, you can send them to this email address, shopcoach@singlesourcing.com. And I'm going to pass this over to Liz now.
Thank you, Mark. There we go. Thank you, Mark. That's a good introduction into how it works. These Arbortext Monster Garage sessions are supposed to be very tight, very small things, and we wanted to do a general overview of how Arbortext and the Open Toolkit play together before we get into the gritty details of the plugin that we've got and the soon to be submitted to the Open Toolkit repository, the PDF replacement, so you can use publishing engine in the Open Toolkit publishing chain. So just real quick before we go, we try to keep these tight. These are the resources for Arbortext users, and if you want to enter questions into the question box while we go over this, we'll answer any questions. This is very typical of the Arbortext community. There's tons of resources out there for everyone who's a part of it. This is just a few, and these are things that happen all the time. Many of these are from PTC, and many of these are Arbortext users. There's mailing lists, there's a free code archive, there's DITA announcements and blogs, there's an advisory line, the Monster Garage here, there are pictures at Flickr, YouTube channel on Arbortext from PTC. All right, and if you need more information or you just need a shop coach, you want to be a shop coach, we'd love to have you. Most of our schedule is booked for the year, but we're always looking for folks who want to present and tell us what they're doing with Arbortext. And do we have any questions? I think that we were pretty easy today. Here we go. We got a couple of questions have come in now, Mark. The first one is, can the DITA OT be used with version Arbortext 5.3? And we'll put that out. Go ahead.
I'm sure you could.
Yes, Paul, the plugin I think right now is configured for 5.4, but there's nothing special about it. That's 5.4 versus 5.3. Here's another one, Mark. What tools do you recommend for modifying the toolkit's default style sheets to customize them to your needs?
Well, that's kind of a big subject, but there's a lot. There's actually, well, see, I would just go into it and start working on it. I know that doesn't help. It uses a few parts of the toolkit are ANT, that's for the build scripts. There's a lot of XSLT in it, and depending on what your output is going to be, if it's PDF, your configuration is, you work on different files than if it's HTML output or some other output. Whatever tools you would use for XSLT, that's what you would use. And there were simpler things you can do without getting into XSLT, and that's covered in various documents that are available on the internet. But I don't know that I have a real recommendation for tools you would use. It does not come with any specific tools, that help you configure it. You just have to find the files and change them, or you can just change command line parameters to do certain things. I hope that helps.
It does. I can tell you that one of the things that we're working on now is how to use Styler for the DITA Open ToolKit, but that's kind of a longer term thing, and we're not sure where that's going to be priced or anything like it.
Arbortext Styler is an Arbortext product.
Yes, it is. It does multi-channel publishing, and it's tweaked to Arbortext publishing. So to make it work best for the various composition engines in the Open Toolkit, that's going to be a little bit of a work. All right, here's the next question. What's the minimum version for Arbortext required to use the Open Toolkit? We think that's probably 5.3, since that's the oldest one that's supported at the moment. None of the other Arbortext products are prior to 5.3 is not supported by PTC. So there you go. Here's one for you, Mark. Are instructions available for running the ANT integrator task to support customer specializations?
Yes.
There you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, running the ANT integrator task is a very simple command line. But if you already have a specialization that's set up as a DITA Open ToolKit plugin, then running the integrator is a simple command line, and it just happens, it will integrate it automatically. I hope I understood your question. There's instructions. If you look on the SourceForge site for the DITA Open ToolKit, there's a user guide. The latest version has updated documentation, the latest version of the toolkit. If you download the full version, it comes with documentation, and it's pretty good.
Excellent. Let's see if that answers the question. Yes. Okay. Here the question from, we've got one more. It says, will the follow-up in March go into how to customize style of the output?
Well, that could be. There's a lot of, that's a big subject in itself, changing the style in the DITA Open ToolKit. And there are I could point people to there's some good webinars on this out on the net that are either free or inexpensive. And I could point you in those directions. But the seminar will be in March will be more on how to use the toolkit with Arbortext. It's a little more limited.
Right. It's a little more.
There's a lot of resources on doing. Yeah, there are a lot of resources on changing the styles with the DITA Open ToolKit. The DITA-users email list is a great place to start, and there's a lot of smart people on the list.
Great. Okay, we got a lot of questions. A lot of questions about the plugin location and cost. That's a sales question, and so I'm really not here to answer that. There is a cost to it. It is not free. Anybody who's interested can send email to the shop coach, and we'll have sales call you. It's kind of where it is. The PDF trans type, or I'm sorry, the PDF plugin in the Open Toolkit to substitute publishing engine for Antenna House or FOP, that will be free, and it will be submitted to the OT code archive. But the in-editor plugin is not free. That is. Sorry.
Right.
Go ahead, Mark.
The trans type that Liz just mentioned is not something I covered in the little webinar I just gave, but it's with the DITA Open Toolkit, it comes with a standard PDF processor called FOP, and you can change it to other processors. And so Arbortext Publishing Engine is one you could also use, and Single Sourcing Solution is working on they're going to contribute a trans type for that purpose to the community.
I got one more question. I'm sorry. I was answering a question and trying to ask for clarification. Here's a comment for you, Mark. Thank you for the presentation and answers. Nice work. Very good.
Thank you.
So here's one more. Let's see. We've got, how do you call PDF versus XHTML OT transforms in the Arbortext UI? It's going to work the same, just like that. You do produce file compose PDF. It would be file compose HTML, file compose other things will be in that, are in that too. We just wanted to show PDF to sort of show how it works today. We'll talk more about that in the next session, the details behind how that is configured and altered in the editor UI.
Right.
Here's a one, Mark. Does it support the XEP FO processor?
The DITA Open Toolkit, you can use XEP with it. You can use pretty much any FO processor. I use XEP all the time with it. It's not hard to set it up either, so it's not some big programming job. It's just a command line parameter usually.
Right, and that's part of the.
You have to buy XEP, but it's not hard to set up.
Right, and that's part of it. Comes in the OT in the plugins directory, right? Not XEP.
It's fairly easy to set it up. No, XEP doesn't come with it. There's a free version you can download. I think there's a time limit on it, but that's the way it works.
All right, great. So I think we've got all the questions. I know Paul's got one left. It's the editor UI to run the integrator task. I'm not sure quite what that means. Mark?
As far as there isn't an Arbortext Editor interface option to run the integrator task. This might be something more for the follow-on session, but I'm a little uncertain about the question.
Same here. Hopefully you could type in a clarification, and
okay.
We'll see what we got.
You could email shopcoach@singlesourcing.com, and I'm sure it can be cleared up.
Absolutely. And Mark will. Oh, that was a feature request. There you go. Okay. Well, we're always looking for new things to do here in the Monster Garage, and maybe Paul, once we have the plugin, you'd be interested in doing that and showing it to all the other people here in the garage. That sounds like fun. Great. Well, thanks everybody for coming today. I think we're coming right close up to the 30-minute mark, and we try to keep these things tight, short, and digestible chunks. And it's been a really good conversation. I appreciate everyone for attending, and especially you, Mark, for doing such a great presentation today.
Oh, thank you very much. My pleasure.
All right. Next week, we're going to tackle how to use jQuery in Arbortext. Great shop coach, James Sulak, is going to do that next week, so be sure and sign up if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.